I knew that my mouth was gaping. I knew that I was staring at the huge oaken door in front of me, set at the front of this beautiful convent in London, Coney, Hertfordshire. At a time, hundreds of years ago, it seemed to me, when I was 7, and this was just a tiny country village, and the convent was set in 70 acres of stunning Hertfordshire countryside. And I remember the day when this oaken door opened and appeared in front of me this black and white apparition. Apparently they had to catch me. I'd never seen a nun before in my life. I was 7 years old. I was from Jamaica. And this was the beginning of a new life for me. 7 years of my childhood spent in this convent children's home. And that sounds terrible. And yes, we cried for our parents. But we also had this massive acreage to play in. These cow meadows with cow pats in. These fields with beautiful flowers. These islands with moats around them. The river flowing by where we could fish with minnows to catch roach and perch. We would play crazy games with boomerangs and assegais. We would climb walls we weren't allowed to climb. We would scrump apples and gooseberries, peaches and pears, plums, greengages. And we would cry for our parents. We were the convent kids. My cousin was beside me. It was a summer's day, just last year, 2018. And as we walked down the long, poplar-lined drive, I turned to him and said, "Maurice, if you could go back to this child, what would you tell him?" And we discussed that in the long drive home to London and then to Sussex. And this may seem irrelevant to business, but I challenge that. I think it's very relevant to ask ourselves this question. If you could go back 5 years to today, what would you want to tell the person you are today about the future? And if that seems as not appropriate, or if that seems dreamlike or not very practical, think about this. I think in our mind and our heart, we can see ahead intuitively into the future we're living and that we're creating. I think our heart knows things that our mind doesn't yet accept, certainly about what's likely to happen. So I think it's very relevant that we ask the question, if you could come back to today from 5 years hence, what would you tell yourself? I think if we did more of that, I think if we allowed our heart to tell our mind what's going to happen in a year's time, long before our mind is ready to accept it, do you know what? I think we create better businesses. I think we create better lives.